I think we have all dealt with phone addiction at one point or at one level or another to a degree. And so I wanted to discuss it in this video through an essay that I wrote on Substack and give some insights about my thoughts on it and my experience with it, because sometimes my screen time is actually really high, like 7-8 hours, especially when I'm spiraling. So it's something relatable. I think we've all dealt with it. So let's dive right into it and yeah, enjoy. I'm not afraid to admit a lot of things. Part of the reason is that I don't think of the after effects as much and contemplate over the residual and resulting feelings of the action. But in retrospect, it causes a lot of internal shame, since sometimes I find myself to be alone in admitting certain things. Bravery almost always comes at a cost. And for me, that includes mulling over what I said, why I said it, and how I could have kept quiet. It's a disservice to my voice, my expression, and my throat's vitality. I'm learning to let my written pieces marinate and edit them instead of publishing them in their utmost raw state. Anyhow, let's try to get to the topic. Today was a good day. I think a great reason was that I spent it mostly without my phone, enjoying the morning sunlight, having breakfast, and then heading to the local pool for relaxation for like 3 hours. Enough to see the sunlight transform the sky with blue by setting behind the clouds and turning the sky into a deep Mars black. It's hard to admit while I haven't overcome it, but I'm addicted to my phone. More particularly social media, Instagram and TikTok. I had a talk about it with my sister yesterday. She gave me useful tips like turning off my phone and putting it far away so that the friction of finding it, turning it on, and then browsing would turn me off from spending too much time on it. And an interesting thing is how my mental health suffers the more I use my phone and social media. You can follow all the positive accounts you want, but at the end of the day, the feelings of lack can creep in still. People might be looking at my profile, yearning, and I look at others with the same, if not less. It's a vicious cycle. I've noticed the deeper I am into it, the easier my thoughts spiral and the harder it is to trust them. My mental health deteriorated on Wednesday, and I had random crying spells till Friday. I felt like I was reaching a point of no return, and if I didn't act swiftly, the consequences could be harsh. My solution wasn't to mute all the other accounts except my own, even though I already do that, nor to deactivate my accounts. I simply logged out and deleted the apps I use most from my phone, and that wasn't it. I tuned out through meditation and prayer. I realized that all this browsing on social media was a call for something deeper. I hadn't been connecting with Source even once a week. And since these apps never shut down except if there's an outage, retreating is hard. The solution doesn't lie in deleting the apps or any other tips they give you in videos or articles, in my opinion. Because if the addiction is bad enough, you'll end up reinstalling and relogging in. The crux is in how bad you want it, and how aware you are of the repercussions if not abiding with the plans and promises. It's really a mental switch that must happen. You must realize these big corporations want your energy to be sapped and hooked up on those meager dopamine rushes. You're easier to control that way. And you're also likely to have dark thoughts seep in that way. Whether or not the last is part of their plan, it is still worth considering taking a step back. It's a different thing if you want to be a content creator, which I understand, but still, as one-person team, you can't possibly be making content and distributing it across most social medias without some form of automation. I am a one-person ship myself, and I find myself gravitating to just one platform eventually. I have been there, done that, in the sense of trying to be everywhere all at once. All it does is deplete your energy. It's like having countless tabs open in your mind and unable to shut them down, most of them. And I am at fault in the sense that I create different short-form content than long-form one. That has been a recipe for disaster. I have had barely any energy lately as a consequence of doing that since a few years. So now I'm choosing to take a step back and just focus on one platform with mostly long form. We learn from our mistakes. We do. I don't need to be hard on myself any further. Retracing your steps and figuring out your why and prioritizing one thing at a time is the key for me. I want my art and content to be intentional than sparse, and with me having barely any energy to show up for it. Taking care of the spiritual is the most important in my opinion. Your inner world monologue and the practices set the tone of your days. If you are not keeping up with them and connecting with God or whatever you believe who has the ultimate power, then you're giving your power away to random life things. We cannot control the things only God has control over, and that is almost all things. We can only control how much hard and smart work we put in and show up consistently and regularly. Some days we might show up with lesser energy, but it still counts as long as you keep showing up and taking breaks when necessary. Another huge reason for my anxiety without phone is my inability to take a break. If I take a break, I feel like I'm regressing, and all the time that could be spent on projects and batching content goes to waste. But remember, life is not a race of productivity. It is not even a marathon. We are just wasting so much energy with all this resistance towards our very own selves. Life is a slow dance to death. And if you let it, and then into eternity. Work hard, but do not let it be the reason ever for your health to suffer. Take care of your health first of all. Guard your peace, protect your joy. Don't sacrifice your sleep. Don't skip your meals and hydration. And take care of your spiritual world as well, however that looks like for you. I have learned time and again that without health you can have anything you want in life, but you won't be able to enjoy the blessing without it. And so I wish you the best of health, and to myself too. And all this advice is coming from someone who has time and again battled with their health, especially mental health. So consider taking it if you want. It is first and foremost a note to my own self. Looking back on this article, I have changed a bit since I wrote this article. I don't think I have been focusing on long form as much as I said I would, but I'm changing that by making this video and other videos that will come up hopefully in the future. But it's making me reflect and think about how I can deal with this phone addiction. And recently I started setting a little bit of a schedule. I'm not the person to set a schedule, honestly, because I like just going with the flow and all that. But too much going with the flow is also not a good thing, So you have to set a certain parameter for yourself. I think I did. For example, this is what worked for me. I don't know if it'll work for you, but I set a little time frame of window where I would work during the day, which is around 9 to 6 or 9 to 5, right? And then I can relax the rest of the day, and I can work on my personal projects, my other work, and house chores, and all this stuff, including this video as well. This is also part of the work, This is how I'm dealing with it, and I've only been on day 2 of it, and it's kind of working. But I'm trying not to be too hard on myself, but at the same time I have to be hard on myself somewhat in terms of not looking at my phone all the time. But I don't think the solution lies in being too hard on yourself in terms of looking on the phone. The solution is in the mindset, like I discussed, there has to be a mental switch. Your want of reaching your goals has to be so obsessive and important that you forget your phone naturally. You don't have to be think about it, something like that. I'm interested in knowing if any tips worked for you in regards to your phone addiction or phone attachment, and if you are on social media or not, or if you're just on YouTube, or if you are not on other social medias, and what worked for you actually. I'm interested in knowing that, so I'm inviting you to discuss it in the comments, and if you want, no obligation, but yeah. But these are some insights I had for my phone addiction, and what I'm looking at right now is that setting the schedule helped. But I also don't believe in too much optimization in the sense of time blocking every single moment of my life. Oh, I went to sleep, I drank water, this that. I don't believe in logging in every single thing. But sometimes I also do believe in doing that sometimes in life, and when I don't have the motivation, when I'm a little bit more depressed, towards low energy, when you do that, this, I drank water, I had breakfast, and you take all those things, they make you feel better about getting out of bed and starting your day, So do what works for you, and remember to do it in the context of what season of life you are in. If you want to bed rot and you're not in the phase of dealing with anything, that's okay as well. That's a phase, it will pass hopefully if you work on it eventually. But everything passes as well, So yeah, hopefully you do that what works for you and take care of your health, and I'll see you in my next video. I hopefully discussed everything that I wanted to. So yeah, okay.